So in the previous lecture, what we have observed that we have decoupled Maxwell's third and fourth equations, and in doing that, we have obtained these second order differential equations. If we start with Maxwell's third equation, we get second order differential equation in terms of electric field. If we start with Maxwell's fourth equation, we get wave equation in terms of magnetic field. But both are very similar to the normal wave equations, which can be represented by this del 2 u minus 1 by v square del 2 del t2, and where v is representing the velocity of that wave. And if we use the same form, then we get the velocity of the electric field or magnetic field is 1 by root over mu naught epsilon naught, which comes out to be velocity of light in free space. Precisely the velocity of light in free space. There is no doubt about it. That means we can represent electric field E or magnetic field H. We can represent electric field E or magnetic field H in terms of any wave. That means generally, whenever we talk about wave, suppose we say Y represents a wave, then how will we write the wave? It has some magnitude, say A, and it can be sine wave or cos wave. If I write sine wave, then it will be sine omega t minus, say, kx. If I say x is the direction along which the wave propagates, that means it will look like this is a sine wave. This is the sine wave. This is x direction. So this is the direction along which the wave propagates, and this is amplitude. This is the amplitude. Instead of sine, we can represent y as a cos wave. Say a cos omega t minus kx. That can also be written. What will be the difference? Then it will not start from 0 but maximum value. That will be the difference. So this is your amplitude again. So wave can be represented either by sine wave or by cos wave. In general, if you are not sure about whether it's a sine wave or cos wave, we can just write it as y equals to a e to the power I is imaginary. I is here imaginary. I'm not, remember, I have used ijk for unit vector also. But in that case, there is a cap symbol. That means unit vector. This is unit vector. And this I is just imaginary number. Root over minus 1. This I is root over minus 1. That is imaginary number. So I omega t minus kx we can write. Because what is e to the power I theta? E to the power I theta means, sorry, cos theta plus I sin theta. E to the power I theta means cos theta plus I sin theta. So you observe e to the power I theta contains both sin and cos. So if I write e to the power I omega t minus kx, that means it consists cos omega t minus kx and sin omega t minus kx. Both are represented. That's why in general, instead of using sine or cos wave, e to the power I theta is utilized, because then it contains both sine and cos. So you can extract whatever you require. It contains both sine and cos. So you can extract sine or you can extract cos from it. So it is, and hopefully you understand, it is always easier to deal with e to the power something mathematically. Whether you use differentiation or integration on those quantities, it will be easier. So that's why generally that is how it is used. And here the main point is this wave, which is represented by y, is going along x direction, positive x direction. It is going along positive x direction. If it is going along negative x direction, then we should write it as omega t plus kx. Then it means minus minus plus, so then it means it is going along negative x direction. So you have studied it in your 11 or 12 standard. I'm just reminding you. Now, so it is easier if the wave is propagating along a particular direction. Suppose if it is going along x direction, then we write x here. if it is going along y direction, then I will say it is going along y direction. Say this is the y direction. If it is going along y direction, then I will write a e to the power I omega t minus ky. By the way, what is this omega? Omega is angular frequency. This is angular frequency, and k is the wave number. Wave number, which is nothing but 2 pi by wavelength. That is called wave number. Now the problem comes here. For simplicity, we always say the wave is propagating along x direction, wave is propagating along y direction, wave is propagating along z direction. So that here we can write omega t minus
Hello, sir.
k. Yes. Hmm?
K.
K is the wave number. K is called wave number. It means 2 pi by wavelength. We have utilized it in quantum mechanics. K is called wave number.
Okay, sir.
Though it is physically difficult to understand K, that's why it is generally represented in terms of wavelength. But it will be 2 pi by wavelength then. And wavelength, we know the distance between two crests or two troughs. This is wavelength. This is wavelength. This is wavelength. This is wavelength. 2 pi by of this value is given by wave number K. Instead of writing 2 pi by lambda, generally it is written as K, and a separate name is given to it, wave number. And we will understand later on that it has other applications. In electromagnetic propagation, K is the main quantity you will observe. So my point is, generally we always try to write down the wave along a particular direction, and that direction will be x, y, or z for our convenience, because then we can write it as omega t minus kx or omega t minus ky, omega t minus kz. That's how we can write it for our convenience, remember. But practically, is it possible that a wave is going along x direction always or y direction always? No, it can go any arbitrary direction. Let me suppose if this is your coordinate system, this is x, y, z, z, this is your coordinate system, then it can be, this wave can propagate in any arbitrary direction. Suppose it is going along this direction. This is the direction along which the wave is going, any arbitrary direction. Then how will you represent it? How will you write the wave? Then you cannot write it in this way, because now the direction is arbitrary direction, r direction. R is any arbitrary direction. Like suppose what will be r? How can we write r in terms of x, y, z? Let's see. Think of a two-dimensional coordinate system first for our simplicity. Say x, y. This is the direction. Suppose I want to find out this direction. Now this direction is represented by r vector. What does that mean? That means magnitude of this line is r and its direction is theta, making an angle with x direction. That's how r is given. Or we can write r in terms of xy. How? What we'll do? We'll make a perpendicular from the end on x and on y axis. If the coordinate here is xy, that means this value is x, this value is x, this value is y. That is the coordinate of this point, say point is P, is xy. Then how can I write this r? That means from origin O, I can go directly to P along r. Along r, I can go directly to P. So this is one way r can be written. Or I can go along x direction. I can go along x direction. How much? Small x path. That means I can go along x direction, that is I direction, x value. Say 10 meter along x direction. So 10 I cap. Plus, after coming here, what I can go? I can go along this direction. That means y direction. How much? Y value. Say 5 meter. So y j cap. J cap only tells you the direction. and y is the magnitude. So if I go directly along this direction or this path, then this path, I'll reach point P in any way. So if I travel this path, that means xi, then yj, this is the path. If it is three-dimensional, then another quantity should be written. So R can be represented as xi plus yj plus zk, normal vector thing. I don't believe in prerequisites, that's why I always try to tell you that thing. So R can be represented by this. Similarly, when we write, you have written it y equals to a e to the power I omega t minus kz suppose written. Now I want, instead of k, I want a particular direction, arbitrary direction. So this z will now be represented by arbitrary direction r. Now what about this k? This k, the wave number, is the magnitude, understand it, this k is the magnitude of a quantity called propagation vector. Propagation vector. Okay. So this k, as I was saying, is the magnitude of a quantity called propagation vector. We will talk about propagation vector in detail throughout the electromagnetic propagation. We will talk about propagation vector. So for now, you just understand that this propagation vector is represented by this k vector. And just like any other vector, like the vector r, it has also three components. Like your position vector r, this is the position vector r. It has three components, x, y, z. These are the three components along three mutually perpendicular direction, I, j, k. Similarly, any vector, you know from your school days that any vector can be written in terms of the components of it. So if I say its components are, say, kx, ky, and kz, then I can write it as kx I cap plus ky j cap plus kz k cap. Please understand, whenever I am giving that cap symbol, these are the directions. So this k is the direction and this k is the propagation vector. This is a completely defined quantity. Okay. In engineering, actually, we need so many quantities that our alphabet cannot give all those quantities. So there are some repetition of quantities, like here. This k and this k are two completely defined quantities. This k, whenever there is a hat symbol, it means an unit vector along k direction, along z direction. And this k with a vector symbol is the propagation vector. This is the propagation vector, which has three components, kx, ky, and kz. These are the three components of k. Okay. These are the three components of k. So that we can write k as kx I cap, ky j cap, kz k cap. No problem. Now what I want to remove this thing because it only tells us that the wave is proceeding along z direction. Now I want the wave, say, moving along r direction. So how will we write it? For that, it is written as y equal to a, that is amplitude, e to the power I omega t minus k dot r. We write it as k dot r. What is k dot r? We know k, we know r. So what will be k dot r? K dot r, dot product, take the dot product, k dot r. So I dot I 1. That means kx into x, I dot j 0, I dot k 0. The next, this quantity ky j. So j cap dot I cap 0, j cap dot j cap 1. That means ky y. Similarly, third one will be kz z. So k dot r means kx x plus ky y plus kz z. That means it is nothing but a wave in arbitrary direction can be written as I omega t minus. Suppose first I'm telling you it in different way. Suppose wave is propagating along x direction only. Suppose wave is propagating along x direction only. Then how would you represent it? I omega t minus wave number. Say wave number I'm writing as kx. I can give any name. So I'm saying it is kx. Kxx. This is the wave propagating along x direction. If I say now the wave is propagating on a plane containing x and y, that means suppose this is x. Suppose this is our xy plane. This is xy plane. This is x. This is y. Wave is like this. Then it has some x component as well as y component. Then how will you write it? You will add y component to it, like this. Now, if I say the wave is propagating along in arbitrary direction in 3 dimensions, then we need to write another quantity, like this. Think of it. When the wave is propagating along x direction only, this is the quantity only. When wave is propagating along y direction only, this is the quantity. When the wave is propagating along z direction only, this is. When the wave is propagating in an arbitrary direction, then all 3 should be there. So all are there. And this can be simplified as I omega t minus what is kxx plus kyy plus kzz? That is k dot r. So I can write it as simply k dot r. So that's how any wave can be written when the wave is propagating along arbitrary direction, r direction. Then this is how we can represent the wave. Okay. So a quick revision. We have started with Maxwell's equations. So first 2 equations, divergence is 0 because in free space there is no charge. Third, curl E equals to minus del B del T, which can be written as in terms of H as curl E equals to minus mu naught del H del T. Fourth one was curl B equals to mu naught epsilon naught del E del T. First term on right hand side is 0 because current density is 0. There is no current in free space. So in terms of H and D, it is curl H equals to epsilon naught del E del T. Then we have taken the curl of Maxwell's third equation and we have decoupled it in this form. And the price is second order differential equation in E. Similarly, if we could do the curl of Maxwell's fourth equation, if we start with Maxwell's fourth equation, we get wave equation in terms of H. Del 2H equals to minus mu naught epsilon del 2H del T2. And these two are similar to the general form of wave equation, where V represents the velocity of the wave. So comparing, we can write V is 1 by root over mu naught epsilon naught. Now mu naught epsilon naught, if you remember, mu naught was this is a constant associated with magnetic field. In magnetostatics, we have this mu naught. Epsilon naught is a constant, and we have observed it in case of electrostatics. Whenever you are using Coulomb's law, whenever you are using Gauss law, then epsilon naught comes. But now these two are associated in such a way that if we put the values, we get the V as velocity of light in free space. Precisely the velocity of light in free space. That's why we can say that this electromagnetic wave propagates with the velocity of light in free space. But how this wave propagates? How the wave propagates? We know that for any wave propagation, like whenever you are a water wave propagates through a pond, or a wave is propagating transverse to any say string. If there is a straight string and you give a jerk perpendicular to the length of the string, then a wave is created. So for those type of waves, medium is required. But here in case of electromagnetic wave, there is no medium required because we are talking about free space. The equations that we are using are in case of free space. Then what are we talking about? Where is the medium here? There is no medium. So how the wave is propagating? The wave propagates in such this way that initially somehow an electric field or magnetic field is generated. whether there is some charges or there is some current present, whatever be the reason, either electric or magnetic field should be created. And this electric or magnetic field is a time varying field. And we know if there exists a time varying electric field, if there exists a time varying electric field, then the time varying electric field can create a magnetic field. The time varying electric field can create a magnetic field. And that magnetic field, in turn, if it depends on the time, it also creates an electric field. So the point is, if somehow an electric field is created, that time varying electric field creates a magnetic field. That time varying magnetic field in turn creates the electric field, and the process continues. And by that way, an electromagnetic wave propagates. I'll show you in the next day. I'll show you the animation how an electromagnetic wave propagates. But the point, the essence is that electric field produces magnetic field produces electric field, and the process continues. And that's why they do not require any medium. They are self-sufficient. Only the point is, you need to initiate the process. Either you need to start the process with the electric field or magnetic field. Then it will go on and on. We know about that whenever we talk about waves, the types transverse and longitudinal wave, right? What is meant by transverse wave? In school days, we have learned that transverse wave means when the vibration of the particles is perpendicular to the direction of the wave. Am I right? That means, suppose this is the direction along which a wave propagates, then the particles are vibrating perpendicular to this. This one is transverse wave. Whereas longitudinal wave means this is the direction along which the wave propagates, then particles are vibrating parallel to it like this. This is the direction along which particles are vibrating. This is called longitudinal wave. But in both cases, you observe particles are involved, media is involved. Now, tell me example of transverse wave and longitudinal wave. In school days, whenever we learned about the transverse and longitudinal wave, examples are also given. I have checked the books. What are the examples? What is the example of longitudinal wave? What is the example of longitudinal wave?
Vibration of tuning fork.
Vibration of tuning fork. No, I'm talking about the wave. You are telling me the way it is produced. But what is the wave? What is the wave? Name of the wave I want. You know.
Sound wave.
Sound wave. You are saying tuning fork. So it is sound wave.
And transverse would be electromagnetic wave.
Right. So in general, in books, it is written as light wave is transverse wave, sound wave is longitudinal wave. Now I understand sound wave. Okay, sound wave does require medium. By compression and rarefication, it propagates. So it requires medium. So we can define it that when the molecules or the particles are vibrating parallel to the direction of propagation, then we get the longitudinal wave. But what about light wave? Light doesn't require any medium. And you are saying that particles vibrating perpendicular to the direction of motion. Where is the particle in case of light wave? From sun to earth, light is coming, and light doesn't require any medium because there is no medium in between. It's free space, it's vacuum. So the example we have cited at the time, though it is correct, but we couldn't understand it. Now we will try to understand. In case of light wave, the way transverse wave is defined cannot be said because there is no particle. So how can I say particles are vibrating to the direction of propagation? Particles are vibrating perpendicular to the direction of propagation. We cannot say. So in case of light wave, transverse means the nature between electric field and magnetic field. That means we'll observe that this electric field and magnetic field, actually what we have observed, that whenever light wave or any electromagnetic wave propagates, it propagates due to electric and magnetic field. there will be change between electric and magnetic field. Electric field produces time varying magnetic field, time varying magnetic field produces electric field, and the process continues and we get propagation of light wave. And it is called transverse. This is called transverse because electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular to the direction of propagation. So now we are going to discuss the transverse nature of light. We are going to discuss this transverse nature of light. Transverse means, now understand clearly, transverse means electric field and magnetic field both will be perpendicular to the direction of propagation. What is the direction of propagation? Direction of propagation means the direction along which the wave propagates. But that will be vague. If I say the wave is propagating in the electric field and magnetic field is perpendicular to the direction of propagation, I cannot quantify it. So for quantification, I require a variable which is going in the direction of propagation. And that vector which is going in the direction of propagation, which guides the wave in the direction, is called propagation vector k. So propagation vector k is the direction along which the wave propagates. It actually guides the wave. And that means if I want to say that electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular to the direction of propagation, that means I want to say that electric field E and magnetic field H are perpendicular to k vector. Get my point? So what I want to say when I say that electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular to the direction of propagation, that means I want to say E is perpendicular to k, H is perpendicular to k. K is propagation vector, which is a vector which has magnitude as well as direction, which tells the wave in which direction it should go. So these are the three basic vectors for electromagnetic wave propagation. Remember, these are the three basic vectors: electric field, magnetic field, and propagation vector. These are the three. Now we'll find out their relation, how they are interrelated. Now the process I am telling you you may not find it in the books directly. So understand it very, very cautiously. This is the easiest way, but if you understand it, then electromagnetic wave propagation will be understood. So what we want to say that first, electric field is perpendicular to direction of propagation. How will you do that? Simply, we can start from the condition that from the previous case, what we have observed that del 2E minus mu naught epsilon naught del 2E del T2 equal to 0. So it is like a wave equation. And just so and what is an wave equation? This is an wave equation, and this in this wave equation, what this U represent? U is a quantity which represents the wave. That means we can say this electric field and magnetic field also represent wave. That means we can write E in terms of a wave. How can write a wave? We can write wave as amplitude. So I'm writing an amplitude, sine or cos. So yeah, I don't know whether it is sine wave or cos wave. So I'm writing in general e to the power I omega t minus k dot r. Why k dot r? I do not know that wave is propagating along x, y, or z direction. So I'm taking arbitrary direction r. Remember, we have observed that any wave can be represented by this. Any wave can be represented by this thing. Y equals to amplitude e to the power I omega t minus k dot r. Therefore, if E represents a wave equation, then E can also be written. E can also be written as this. So but E is a vector. That's why E is a vector. That's why the constant is also a vector, because this quantity has no Now this quantity is scalar. This quantity is scalars. If you write sine something, sine theta, cos theta, can you say they are scalar vector? Sine theta, cos theta, e to the power I theta, these are always scalar. So how can I write the vector symbol? With the amplitude. So E is written in this way. E represents a quantity which can be represented by a wave equation. So E can be written as a wave also, because it is a term of the wave equation. Similarly, H can also be written in terms of a wave, because we have observed that H also has a wave equation. So again, we can write H as some constant. I do not know what is that constant value. Then I phase omega t minus k dot r. I do not know in which direction the wave is propagating. So I only know that E and H can represent the wave. This is the only thing I can say, that E and H can represent a wave. So we can write them in terms of amplitude and phase like this. Okay. Now we know from Maxwell's first equation, divergence E equals to 0. Free space. Still we are in free space. So divergence is 0. If divergence is 0, then how can I write it? Divergence of E. E is E naught e to the power I omega t minus k dot r. This equals to 0. Okay. No problem till now. Now, this divergence, that is del dot, operates on two quantities. This is the first quantity, this is the second quantity. E naught is one quantity and e to the power something, this is another quantity. So divergence will operate on both. Divergence will operate on both. So how can I write it? I can write divergence operates on E naught, other quantity remains constant. That means e to the power I omega t minus k dot r remains constant. Then del, so del operates on these two quantities individually. It operates on E naught when the rest quantity, that is e to the power something, remains constant. Then del operates on e to the power something when E naught remains constant. Now please be very, very careful whenever you are using this operator del. You observe here what is actual operation going on. Actual operation is del dot. Divergence is operated on this whole thing within curly bracket. Divergence del dot is operated on the whole thing within the curly bracket. Keep it in mind. Divergence is operated. Del dot. Now think of it that E naught, this quantity, E naught is a vector. That means divergence can be operated on E naught. Like here, it is operated. Dot product occurs between two vectors. Dot product occurs between two vectors. But this quantity is not a vector. This quantity is not a vector. That means you cannot use del dot on it. You cannot operate del dot on it, because e to the power something is scalar quantity. Then how will you operate it? You will operate grad on it. That means del operates on e to the power I omega t minus k dot r, but dot is there. So next dot E naught equals to 0. Understood? This thing, this quantity will operate on these two quantities, E naught and e to the power I theta. E naught and e to the power I theta. Theta means omega t minus k dot r. So when it operates on E naught, there is no problem. Del dot E naught, because E naught is a vector quantity. So divergence can be operated on. Then this quantity remains constant. Next, del will operate on the scalar quantity, and when del operates on the scalar quantity, it's called gradient. So we'll only write del on this. Remember, del is I del del x plus j del del y, etc. So there is no dot here, because dot or cross can be between two vectors. e to the power something is not a vector, it's a scalar. So only del operates on e, but dot is there. So dot is there, then e naught. So this equals to 0. Next, del dot e naught. Divergence of a constant. What is del? Del is I del del x, del 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 y, etc. So when it operates on a constant, what will be the value? 0. Del del, suppose del del x of e naught. E naught is constant. What will be the value? 0. Del del y of e naught. 0. Del del y of e naught. 0. Because e naught, though it's a vector, but it's a constant vector. So first quantity gives us 0 result. Now the second one. This quantity. Let's write it properly. I del del x plus j del del y plus k del del z. Here I am showing all the calculations. Afterwards, you need not, when you will be prepared, you need not to show all this calculation. Even if you observe books, this calculation is done in 2 lines. I omega t minus, what is k dot r? K dot r is kxx minus kyy minus kzz dot e naught equals to 0. Now, I cap del del x operates on this whole thing. Del del x operates on e to the power something. So del del x of e, del del x of e to the power I theta, then e to the power I theta will come out. Then del del x will operate on this whole quantity. So what will be the value which will be coming out of it? I minus kx. That means minus I kx, that will come out. That will come out minus I is that imaginary quantity, minus I kx. This will come out minus I kx e to the power I omega t minus k dot kx x minus ky y minus kz z. That is, I'll just simply write it k dot r dot e naught as usual. That one, if I use I del del x, if I del del x operates on this, we get this value minus I, this I cap kx e to the power this, and e dot as usual. Then j cap del del y operates. So next, j cap del del y operates on this e to the power thing. So again, minus I comes out with ky e to the power I omega t minus k dot r into e naught. Similarly, when third quantity del del z operates, minus I kz minus I this k cap kz comes out. This one minus I can be 0 because right hand side is 0. So now what is this quantity within bracket? I kx plus j ky plus k kz. This is nothing but k vector. So this is k vector. So k vector dot e naught e to the power I omega t minus k dot r equal to 0. Can I write? Because e to the power I omega t minus k dot r is scalar, and I know scalar can be written anywhere. If there is no operator, there is no operator here. You observe k, e naught, these are values, vector values, but values, no operator. So e to the power something can be written anywhere because it is a scalar. Scalar is a multiplication, so you can write it in front of e naught or after e naught, no problem. So I have written it in this way. Now what is this? K dot, what is this whole quantity? E naught e to the power something is nothing but e vector. Check the first line. This is nothing but e vector. So k dot e is 0. So simply what we get, k dot e is 0 from first equation of Maxwell. Del dot e 0 means actually k dot e is 0. K dot e is 0. What does that mean? That means k, magnitude of k, magnitude of e into cos of angle between them equals to 0. So what would be that angle? What would be the angle for which K dot E 0? Suppose A dot B is 0. What does that mean? What is the relation between A and B? Suppose A dot B is 0. What does that mean? Right. K E cos theta equals to 0. K dot E 0 means K into E. There is magnitude of K, magnitude of E. Cos theta equal to 0. Now K or E cannot be 0. Value of K or E cannot be 0. Then what is the only possibility? Cos theta is 0. And when cos theta is 0? When theta is 90 degree. That means
90.
K dot E 0 means K and E are perpendicular to each other. K and E are perpendicular to each other. So what we have done? We have used Maxwell's first equation, divergence E 0. We have used the expression of E. We have put the expression of E and then simplified it. And when we simplified it, we get K dot E equals to 0. That means in simple words, from divergence of E equals to 0, we get K dot E equals to 0. As if divergence is represented by K. That means K is perpendicular to electric field. Or E is perpendicular to electric field, whatever you say. Sorry, E is perpendicular to K, whatever you say. E is perpendicular to K. Similarly, Maxwell's second equation tells us divergence H0. We can proceed in the same way. Same process. That means we put the value of H, that is H naught e to the power I omega t minus K dot R. Similar calculation. But we ultimately what we'll get? This K dot H will be equal to 0. That means as if this del is represented by K. So what we get? H is perpendicular to K. So we get H is perpendicular to K. That means what we get? Electric field is perpendicular to K. We get magnetic field is also perpendicular to K. That means electric and magnetic field are perpendicular to the direction of propagation. The two fields which constitute an electromagnetic wave are electric field and magnetic field. These are the two waves which constitute an electromagnetic wave. And these two fields, electric and magnetic field, are found out to be perpendicular to the direction of propagation. Direction of propagation because K represents the direction of propagation. So if K is going, that means the wave is propagating along, Z direction, then electric field and magnetic field both will be perpendicular to Z. That means either along X direction or along Y direction. So electric and magnetic field are perpendicular to direction of propagation. That's why electromagnetic wave is called transverse wave. Electromagnetic wave is called transverse wave only due to this reason, that electric field and magnetic field are mutually perpendicular to each other. Electric field and magnetic field are mutually perpendicular to each other. This is the reason. Now, can I say these three vectors, electric field, magnetic field, and direction of propagation, or propagation vector K, these are the three vectors. Can I say they are mutually perpendicular to each other? This is my question. Tell me, what do you think? There is no right or wrong. What do you think? Whatever the discussion we have done, from that, can we say electric field E, magnetic field H, and propagation vector K are mutually perpendicular to each other?
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Yes, sir. They are mutually perpendicular to each other.
They are mutually perpendicular to each other. How can I say?
Yes, because we get K dot E 0 and K dot H 0. So both are perpendicular to each other. So it must be E dot H is equal to 0.
Cannot understand. You are from the first one we can say electric field is perpendicular to K.
To K, and magnetic field is perpendicular to K.
Right.
And
But
then we
can
then we can say that electric field is perpendicular to magnetic field.
How can I say? Now I'm giving you an example. Suppose through this plane a wave is coming towards me. Wave is coming towards me. That means place your pen on your mobile or on the screen of your laptop. So the direction of the pen is the direction of the wave. So this is the direction of the wave. This is the direction of the wave. Okay. So this wave is perpendicular. This wave is perpendicular to this plane. Okay. Now suppose this is the direction of E. This is the direction of E. So this wave is perpendicular to E. Am I right? So K vector is perpendicular to E. Suppose this is the direction of H. Again the wave is perpendicular to H because the wave is perpendicular to the plane and H and E lies on the plane. So wave perpendicular to H and E both. But can I say E and H are perpendicular? No. Both are lying on the plane. E and H both are lying on the plane. And the wave is perpendicular to that plane. That's why it is called plane wave. This type of wave is called plane wave. Electric field and magnetic field can be represented on a plane and the wave direction is perpendicular to the plane. So from that, we can draw any type of electric field and magnetic field like this. This is electric field, say this is magnetic field. Then also E and H are perpendicular to K. But E and H are not perpendicular between themselves. Their angle between them is not 90 degrees. So from this discussion, we cannot say E and H are perpendicular to each other. Be very, very careful. Common mistake, not only for students. In different books, from after this discussion, it is said that E and H are perpendicular to each other. No, they may not. From this discussion, we cannot say. We need further condition. Let's understand that further point. Please bear with me. A small part is left. And tomorrow you have holiday. So one day you can. And we have exam in February last. Now the point I want to make that we want to find the relation between electric and magnetic field, E and H, that we want now. For that, again we start with Maxwell's third equation. Maxwell's third equation was curl E. You can start with fourth equation as well. Minus mu naught del H del T. When we found out wave equation, then from this point onward, what we have done? We have taken curl on both sides. Now we don't do that. What we will do? Now we know both E and H represent wave. Both E and H represent wave. That means instead of E, we can write E naught e to the power I omega t minus k dot r equals to minus mu naught del t of H naught e to the power I omega t minus k dot r. Just put the expression of E and H in Maxwell's third equation. That's all. In the previous case, what we have done? When we have found out relation between E and K or H and K, we have started with first or second equation. Now I am using the third equation. Now, again, del cross. Now, del cross operates on E naught and e to the power something. These are the two quantities on which del cross operates on. So, one by one we will operate. So, first, this operates on E naught. E to the power something remains constant. Then del operates on the scalar quantity. So it operates on the scalar quantity, so we cannot write cross. We write e to the power I omega t minus k dot r. Always use your common sense and logic. That will be sufficient. Cross E naught. Because this cross can be operated only on vector. So it is always operated on vector. And we have only one vector here, E naught. So simple. This equals to minus mu naught del t operate on H naught. So it will be del H naught del T e to the power something remains constant, and del T operates on e to the power something H naught remains constant. Done? Okay. Now what is curl of E naught? Whether you are using dot of E naught, curl of E naught is a constant. E naught is a constant. Though it's a vector, but it's a constant vector. So this operation always gives you zero value because E naught is a constant. It represents the magnitude of the wave. So it's constant. That means del cross or del dot E naught will be zero. So the first term zero. Second term, we'll do the second term. We'll discuss second term. So I'm giving space for the second term. Now the third term. Del H del T. H naught, sorry, del H naught del T. This quantity. H naught is constant. So there will not be any variation of it. So del H naught del T 0. Fourth one. Minus mu naught. Del T of this. What is del T of this means? It will give you I omega e to the power I omega t minus k dot r H naught. Isn't it? If you differentiate it, what will come out? I omega will come out. I omega comes out and rest is same. Now we need to find out this quantity, the second quantity. Okay. Leave some space and then start writing it. Leave some space. So what we did, this quantity. We need to evaluate this quantity. Del of this one. We need del of e to the power I omega t minus k dot r. Let me check. That one I want. This quantity I want to find out. This quantity. Let's do it. Del means I del x plus j del y plus k del z e to the power I omega t. Now instead of k dot r, I'll write the whole thing. K dot r means kxx minus kyy minus kzz. So what will be the value? I first quantity I. Del x operates on the whole thing. Del x operates on the whole thing. What will come out? Again I comes out minus kx comes out. So minus I comes out, kx comes out, e to the power, the whole thing remains. That is omega t minus kxx, kyy, kzz, that is k dot r. Next j cap. Del y of this. What will come out? I minus ky. That is this one minus I ky comes out. This remains. Third quantity. K cap. Del z of this. What will come out? Minus I kz. Minus I kz comes out. Okay. So this means minus I is the imaginary. What is this whole thing in bracket? K vector. Over I omega t minus k dot r. Okay. Now put it in that blank space. So minus I k into e to the power this. That means this can be written as minus I k e to the power I omega t minus k dot r. So this quantity done. What is left? Cross E naught. Okay. Our calculation is almost completed. So what we have? I k. Now this quantity e to the power something is a scalar. I can write it here or after E naught. If I write it after E naught, then it will be E naught into E. E naught into e to the power something. What is that? Capital E. Isn't it? Our E is E naught e to the power I omega t minus k dot r. So this whole thing is actually E equals to minus minus cancel out I mu naught omega. Then again, I can write this e to the power something before h naught or after h naught. If I write it after h naught, it will be h naught only. I cancel out. So what we have? K cross E equals to mu naught omega h. That is the relation between E and H. Now you observe K cross E equals to something into H. That means H is now perpendicular to both K and E. We already know H is perpendicular to K. But from this we can say H is perpendicular to E also. So from this relation we can say that these three vectors E, H, K are mutually perpendicular to each other. Because we have already said that E is perpendicular to K, H is perpendicular to K, and from this I can say H is perpendicular to E also. So if you are asked find out the relation between E and H, that will be the relation. That is the relation between E and H. By the way, I am writing it again. This relation we need to remember. Mu naught omega in physics, we may get some numerical from this, but definitely in your course subject, you require these equations. That means if it is CSC department or IT, I may skip these portions to some extent. But for electronics, it's very important. So this is the relation between K, E and H. And you observe, if I know K and E, if I know the expression of K and E, I can find out H from this relation. But if I know the value of or the expression of K and H, I want E. Suppose I want E. I know K and H. I know the vector form of K and vector form of H. I require to find out E. From this relation, it is difficult to find out. It can be, but there will be some calculations involved. Rather, it was very easier if we have a relation between like this. If we had a relation like this, K cross H, something into E. If we had that relation, then it was easy. When K and H are known, we can take the cross product and we find out E. What is that relation? This relation can be found out easily. In the previous case, what we have done here, we have started with Maxwell's third equations. What we have done, we have started with Maxwell's third equation, put the expression of E and H and simplified it. Similarly, if we start with Maxwell's fourth equation, curl H equals to epsilon naught del E del T, and put the value of E and H and simplify it, we will get the other equation. I am not showing you, but the value that will comes out will be this. If we do that. Now these two equations are important for a student of electronics and communications. As I told you, for other stream I may skip this portion. But for you it is required to remember. How will you remember it? Now, some of you just can remember these things, but for people like me, it is very difficult to remember things. So what we can do, we can use some mnemonic, some hints to remember certain quantities. Here I am giving you a mnemonic. Mnemonic means a hint or logic to remember certain things. Here, what are the three quantities basically involved? K, E and H. Write them alphabetically. So if I write E, after E, then comes H, then comes K, isn't it? E, H, K. E, F, G, H, I, J, K. So this is the way. So this is alphabetically. This is the direction. Alphabetical direction. E, then H, then K, then E. The process continues. E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, up to Z, again A, B, C, D, E. So this is the rotation. This is the direction. Okay. If I go in the alphabetical direction, then it is positive. If I go in opposite direction to the alphabetical direction, it will be negative. if I go in the direction of the alphabetic, then it will be positive. If I go in opposite direction, it will be negative. So suppose, forget about these two. Now I want to write these two equations. I do not remember those equations. So what do I start with? We all start with always k vector. So I can write either k cross e or I require k cross h. We always start with writing k. That's why I have written it in this way. Instead of e cross h or h cross k, I am writing it always k. Easier to remember that I will always start with k. So k cross e, k cross h. Now we know these three vectors are mutually perpendicular. So here k cross e will get you, h will also obviously will be observed. But whether it will be plus h or minus h, you observe k cross e. How we are going k cross e? This is the direction. This is the direction k cross e. So we are going alphabetical direction. That means positive h. Positive h. Whereas in the second case, k cross h, we are going. This is the direction. This is the direction we are going now. K cross h. So it will give you minus e. So we write minus e here. Okay. In both the equation, omega should be present. Now with h, which constant always come? Think of any magnetic field expression. Which quantity always comes? With h, mu naught. Similarly, with electric field, which constant always come? Epsilon. So these are your equations. So that is the way you can remember them.